Hi, I'm Marie and this is a quick introduction to my yellow orchid tutorial. Here I'm going to show you how I build up the central details of the flower. So first I paint in all the surrounding petals, really deepening the colours and adding any veins and details. And then once I'm happy with all of my petals, I come into the centre of the flower, the stamen. And it can be hard to know where to start with so many different elements to paint. So I start by building up the background layer with a paler wet into wet wash, creating the texture that I need as I go. And then whilst that first layer is still wet, I add in a more saturated mix of my paint so that the colours are deeper and darker. And I paint in the markings that I can see on each little section. So I look at the area and I break it down into the shapes that I can see, and then I paint in each section, taking notice of the colour and the tonal range on it. I paint in each little section separately, and I'm using a really small brush here. So this is a number 1 with a lovely pointed end. And although I'm working on a damp surface, I'm making sure that there's not too much water introduced here at all, as then I would lose the definition of the shapes and the pattern that I'm painting, as the colours would start to blend into each other. So my surface isn't wet, it's just barely damp. If you'd like to see the full step-by-step tutorial of this yellow orchid, you can find it inside the Watercolor Members Club. The link is below if you'd like to learn more. And please like and subscribe if you want to be kept up to date with all of my new tips and technique videos. So another thing I'm really careful of whilst painting in these central elements is that I don't paint a new section next to one that's still damp, as the edges would begin to blur and I would lose definition, which I really don't want to, as I like a realistic finish. So I make sure that I wait for each section to dry thoroughly before painting the one directly next to it. And then I continue building the layers of colour and pattern on top of each other, adding in the really small areas of shadow to each one so that it adds depth and gives your image a really three-dimensional quality. I hope this video is useful in your watercolour practice, and thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.